Happy Devils FESTIVUS Wednesday! This is the Let's Go Devils podcast State of the Fan Address. Oh, we're streaming live on Facebook Live, Twitter, Periscope, YouTube Live, and Twitch on the Primetime Radio Network. Lots of news, lots of grievances, lots of guests, lots of festivities. Nick Villano, the Pucks and Pitchforks editor-in-chief, let me just tell you, there is Devils hockey talk going on. It all started with Mack Black, Mackenzie Blackwood signing a 3-year deal, and the schedule comes out. Isn't it a wonderful day? It's like the most wonderful time of the year. I feel like playing Arlette's version. I should have queued that up.
Yeah, I woke up this morning because I've been working a weird schedule. The people in the news industry know that Christmas week means everybody, no matter the seniority, works just very strange schedules and much different from what they're used to. So usually I'm awake at 1 o'clock in the morning, but because of the schedule, I was not. So I woke up this morning to Kevin Weeks' tweet saying that he felt like the Devils and Mack Black were close to a deal. So that was great news to wake up to. And it just kept going. And honestly, Sam, like all this schedule
Whoops. I'm sorry.
I was very confused of what the significance of that music was.
No, this is what you woke up to. Sorry. Let me just play it. I screwed it up. It was the most wonderful time of the year. It's Arlette. I just have to plug the holiday album. Yeah.
No, you're fine.
I screwed that one up. Yeah,
your timing could have been better. Timing definitely could have been better.
It wasn't the timing. It's just my camera's blocking part of my my board, so I wasn't actually looking at it. Anyway, go ahead. Don't let me interrupt you. Go ahead.
But when that schedule came out, and I saw dates next to Devils hockey games, there was no more speculation. There was no more hopes and dreams. The 10-month nightmare is over, Sam. And it's going to be almost 10 months to the day between Devils hockey games. There's going to be no preseason games. We're jumping right into Boston Bruins, January 14th. And you know what that means, Sam? Do you know what that means? Speaking of plug, we're going to have to talk about we're going to do on January 13th. And we don't have to negotiate it on the radio, but I think we might need to give us a little extra time on that date. Because I'm thinking Devils preview extravaganza on the State of the Fan Address. I've already got 2 guests locked down for January 13th to preview the season.
Really?
I'm going to work on more. I'm going to try to get this to be the biggest podcast that we've ever had. And I don't know, Sam, maybe you got to look at your schedule. You got to see what you can carve out for the State of the Fan Address.
You know what I should do? I should go down to the Prudential Center and do it live outside in the beautiful park, right in front of the building. People stay away from me. Keep 50 feet back. Let me do my thing. We should have a tailgate. You know what? We should have a Winter Classic type podcast. Live, outside in the cold, for crying out loud. Because I'm excited.
I think you should call it Beer Baron, Shorts Guy. I think we should give them a segment, kind of merge the podcast again. I think we could do this up, Sam. You know, we did such a big thing with the draft, and it went well. I think we should just all the big events and the opening of a season after a 10-month layoff. What's bigger, Sam? So I'm promoting that now. Mark it on your calendars. January 13th, opening night for the NHL. But it's not opening night for the Devils. The Devils don't play till the 14th. So come to the State of the Fan Address. Come to the Let's Go Devils podcast. bring
Whoa.
your ears and your eyes here for. I'm telling you, I'm still working on the guest list, but we already got two favorites, two local Devils favorites, and Sam, maybe you can get a couple of your you could pull some strings, get a couple of your guys on. I think we go all out.
First off, if we're gonna go all out, obviously don't announce who we're gonna get on that day, because I don't want to be knocking on the same door, be like, hey, Ken Danico, can you come on to our little podcast and knocking on the same door? I don't know who you got right now. I'm going to go through my Rolodex.
Go through your Rolodex. Go through it. We'll go through together, and then the week before we'll make some announcements. How's that sound?
That sounds great. I'm multitasking right now. I'm so happy. There's Devils hockey. You see the Boston Bruins. That's what they call them, Boston Bruins. On the schedule. I'm fired up. I'm very, very fired up. I'm also fired up for our next guest, but I don't see his camera on. So, but anyway, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out.
Maybe we're doing just the sound zoom. I don't know how these things work.
We could do sound or camera. I was prepared for only video, but that's okay. Jack, if you can hear me, I don't know if you can hear me or not, but hey,
okay.
doing this Zoom integration confuses me. I have to confide to the listeners and viewers all over the place. I did a Zoom thing, produced a Zoom thing because I have a couple friends at the Flyers Alumni Association virtual Christmas party, and it was a lot of fun. And I started actually liking Zoom for about a couple minutes. Yeah, because it was actually pretty funny because I could actually see a lot of the alumni players, and the comedian would just rip on them, and they're sitting there with their wives, and it's really like, it should be close to the public type jokes. And just watching them cringe in embarrassment was actually kind of fun because it wasn't on, it wasn't on the feed, but I'm like watching. I'm like, and you know what? And do you know who popped in? Eric Lindros. He actually popped in. Ooh. I was like, yeah, he seems like he's happy in retired life. Anyway.
I'd be happy if I didn't have to play Scott Stevens anymore.
Yeah, me too.
Anyway, but yeah, why don't you? I'll introduce our fans to who's coming on.
Yeah,
why don't you go?
Let me figure out the technical side because the camera's not on, so I guess this is audio. Let me figure it out. You go solo, and I will figure this thing out. Okay.
Awesome. All right, folks. Obviously, it's been a big day. The schedule is insane. I love it. 4 games in a row. We play New York Rangers. We start the season off with 2 games against the Boston Bruins. Boston might not have Pasternak or Marchand. Listen, I know they're still Boston. We're still the Devils. It's still not the best situation for us. I didn't know this lamp was back here. That was stupid of me. But it's going to be a lot of fun. I just can't wait to see Devils hockey again. I miss gifting all of my reactions to the scores and to the big plays and the big hits. I miss getting mad at Miles Wood. I miss yelling at the refs. We don't have to yell at them about offsides, though. They changed the rule this year, so at least they don't have to guess when skates are down and things like that. So there's just a lot going on with the schedule, but this Mackenzie Blackwood contract is what I want to talk about when we're done with the interview. But first, I do want to explain to us, Jay Fresh Hockey is coming on tonight. He builds what's called these viz. It's basically advanced stats in a visual form, and he's done some great stuff. with players for years, and I've wanted to get him on, but I was waiting for the right time. And he just wrote an article on his Substack account, and he tied the Devils to a couple free agents. And I'm curious about why he's tying them to those free agents, why he thinks that the Devils at this point in their franchise, whatever you want to call it, a rebuild, you want to call it whatever the situation will call it, why he thinks that signing these specific free agents. Now, one of them I believe is off the board, but we can still talk about just free agents in general, how he feels. Anyway, so Sam is working with him, trying to get him on. I'm very excited. He knows his stuff. He knows exactly why and how teams win. And I'm curious what he thinks about our Devils this year. I wrote a very weird article. It was based off of Editor and Leaf, which is the fan side Toronto Maple Leafs blog. And they have some takes. I have takes, but they have takes. They wrote an article about, in part, why the Buffalo Sabres could actually make the Stanley Cup Finals. I was like, listen, if we're going to Crazy Town, let's go to Crazy Town. So I wrote how the New Jersey Devils can make the Stanley Cup Finals. That's out there in the atmosphere. I put my name to it. I don't even care. And you know what? As I wrote it, it made sense. And I know this is crazy. The Devils aren't going to make the Stanley Cup Finals, but like they could. They have two great goalies. They have, if Jack Hughes and Nico Hischier make stupid jumps, I don't know, there's a lot that can happen. But I want to know what the outside world thinks of the Devils, thinks of what their upside is. So that's an exciting proposition. Sam, I see you're back.
I'm back. I'm hoping this works. And if it doesn't, I apologize, Jack. We have Jack, a.k.a. J Fresh Hockey. You can find him on Twitter at J Fresh Hockey. Jack, you're on with Sam and Nick. How are you tonight?
How's it going? Am I audible?
Oh, you're audible.
I can hear you.
I did it, Nick.
Perfect.
I did it. I didn't screw up.
Good stuff. How's it going, fellas?
Oh, we're good. We're good. Hey, man, it's so when I first talked to you, Jack, and by the way, folks, I don't know if you heard me, Jack. I was introducing you, J Fresh Hockey. Maybe real quick before we get started, because you can explain this a lot better than me about the Viz and kind of what you do and kind of how you've gotten popular. Just explain to the fans what you do with hockey and how you analyze stats and just the way you use that Viz.
Sure. There's kind of two things that I do. The first one is the Viz that you're talking about, which is just short for visualizations. That's basically just taking all of the stats models and stuff that smart, analytically minded people have come up with and trying to present them in a way that's maybe a little bit easier to understand for those of us who didn't do too well in high school math, like myself. And so that's a lot of stuff like making kind of these like player cards or maybe graphing things so that they maybe make a little bit more sense. And then the other half is kind of more writing based, which in a lot of cases involves me kind of taking the stats and analyzing a player, but also kind of bringing in that eye test perspective and analyzing game tape as well to kind of expand on the story of why the stats say what they do and how maybe we can use the eye test to give a little bit more context, but also kind of understand where these stats are actually relating to what's going on in the ice. So kind of just two ways to hopefully maybe communicate what's going on in these stats a little bit better than if you're just looking at a couple numbers. Yeah,
I mean, listen, I got to give you credit. I got to give Micah credit, Micah McCarty. I got to give. I could go on and on. There's a lot of people like you who are out there who. I mean, I'm an idiot. I look at these things and I'm like, I don't XGF. Like, I don't understand how does Corsi translate to Fenwick, which translates to on ice production? How does that turn into goals? And the visualizations that you give us, people like me who can't, I can interpret numbers. I can understand when I look on the ice, oh, this is what he did to score a goal on that play, but I can't tell, how over a long season, how does his play on 19, 20, 25 shifts turn into 23 goals over a season. So, I appreciate people like you who give us that visual, who can be like, oh, well, he's getting all his shots from underneath. He's, he's getting the rebounds from here, and all the other visualizations that the different advanced statisticians like you are giving us. So I appreciate that. But the reason I'm having you on tonight, Jack, is you wrote an article this week for your Substack, just kind of looking at free agent fits and where some of the bigger names might make the most sense. And you had the Devils on there twice. Now, one's off the board since we last spoke. Granlund signed, so he's off the board, but that's okay. I think the point still stands. First, I want to start with Hoffman. Mike Hoffman's, he's the biggest name out there still, right? I would say that Mike Hoffman's probably the biggest free agent still available. Would you say the same thing?
Yep, I'd say so. He's definitely the biggest forward, and then Vatanen, I guess you could theoretically argue, but I think Hoffman's kind of the flashiest guy out there for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Perennial 20-goal scorer, somebody who can definitely add to an offense, and you tied him to the Devils, which I've seen before, but I've seen some people who were straight out no's for that, and I was always curious. I was like, why wouldn't you want a guy? I don't know if anything has to do with the Ottawa thing, but we can push that under the rug because that's neither here nor there, and that doesn't have anything to do with on-ice statistics and production. I'm curious why you're tying him to the Devils. What do you think a guy like Hoffman could bring, and why do you think he would want to play in New Jersey?
So I wrote this very in-depth piece about a month ago about Jack Hughes, basically trying to kind of break into the stats and also kind of game tape and eye test scouting type stuff and figure out why his numbers were so poor this past year. And not everything, but a whole lot of it came down to the fact of the matter that the guys he was playing with were not well equipped to take advantage of the opportunities that he was giving him or really support him on the ice. Like, he was spending a lot of time with Pavel Zacha or Wayne Simmons. So guys where when Hughes kind of blows through the neutral zone and enters the offensive zone, he's kind of passing it to guys who are just going to ring it around the boards or not finish the chances he gives them. And it was really frustrating to watch. And I was a bit disappointed that the Devils didn't do anything this summer to really get that guy who was going to finish those chances. I guess you could theoretically make the argument for Andreas Janssen, but I'm not sure where they're planning on putting him. So when I see Mike Hoffman as the biggest free agent available, and I see the Devils as the team with the most cap space, my immediate thought is, okay, please just give Mike Hoffman to Jack Hughes, get his confidence up, give him a guy who can actually put some of those pucks in the net, and make sure that you don't have another season of Hughes kind of dishing really nice passes to absolutely nobody.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And I watched that same situation, and I know a lot of people are worried about Jack Hughes. I don't want to say anybody's really down on him. It's 1 year. He was 18 years old, the first player to ever go from the U.S. national team to the NHL. So, and that team was a tire fire. The Devils were just bad from top to bottom. The coaching situation was bad. They fired their coach, their general manager. They traded away their star. They traded away their captain. It's the season from hell, basically. So, and you're right. He was passing. He was making really, he was making plays. He was a playmaker last year. He had trouble finishing, but that's not what you wanted from your 18-year-old center. You wanted him to be able to make plays, and Zacha's not the guy. You can ask any Devils fan. Zacha's not the guy that's going to finish. And Simmons is he hasn't been a finisher in a couple of years. So it was a very strange thought process on how they dealt with him. And then they put him at wing, and that was just a bad idea. So overall, just watch the season away. I agree. I think that if you get him with a scorer like Hoffman, I think that that's definitely going to help his cause. Do you think... I'm trying to, because all of my questions basically got thrown out the door because everything, Mackenzie Blackwood got signed, so that threw one out the door, and Granlund got signed, threw another one out the door. But I'm just curious when you look at this Devils team, and Hughes specifically, because Hughes is a guy I've seen a lot of the statisticians looking at and saying, like, watch out, he has a chance to make a jump. When you think about that, and you're the Devils. You know, you're in the front office and you're talking with Lindy Ruff, a brand new head coach, an old school guy, somebody who's been around the block for a long time. He's seen young players take that step to the next step. Do you do everything in your power? Is your main goal to make sure that Hughes, and he sure seems like he's fine at least, you know, you'd want him to get a little bit more offensive, but I mean, Hughes seems like the guy that you have to almost cater your lines to, right? Like, if you need to put Palmieri on his right, do it. If you need to put, like you said, maybe Janssen, maybe sign a Hoffman, maybe make it, like, basically what I'm asking you, Jack, is do you change your decision-making to make sure that Jack Hughes has the best possible chance to succeed?
Yeah, I'd say so. And that doesn't mean like going all in. I mean, I don't think that adding Mike Hoffman would make a massive difference to the Devils' fortunes next year. I mean, Hoffman is the definition of, like, when you talk about 0-calorie scorers, like guys who, like, the thing they do is score goals, and that's pretty much it. Like, Hoffman is like the banner player, like, on that list. And, you know, I'd like align with him and Jack Hughes and, you know, let's say Gusev or Janssen or whoever it is they decided to put on the other wing. Like, that line would be horrible defensively. Like, one of the things with Jack Hughes, we talked about his playmaking being good. You know, there's a lot of things that he's really not good at, and one of them is defense. And a line with Jack Hughes and Mike Hoffman on it might be one of the worst defensive lines in the league. But like you said, if you're the Devils and you're not really trying to compete right now, like, I am willing to sacrifice that line being a defensive tire fire just to help build up Jack Hughes' confidence and then let him actually celebrate some goals going in for once, especially in a shortened season. On top of that, it kind of gives you maybe the upside to see how this team could kind of put some wins together and maybe a kind of some experience for the young guys playing meaningful games and stuff like that. You know, I really don't see it as a situation where you're rushing things or doing half measures or something like that. I do think that when you have a guy like Hughes who just struggled through such a frustrating season and you're trying to focus your efforts on developing him into a star, what you need to do is you need to support him any way you can. And I feel like getting him a guy who can score like Hoffman can would be a nice pick. Now, it's not necessarily like the only good fit that I would see for Hoffman, but I am a little biased just because I watched so much Hughes game tape in the course of writing that piece. And I just got so frustrated watching him making all those passes to no one. So I am a little bit biased in favor of liking the fit with Hoffman there.
Well, okay. So then you just kind of gave me an idea, and I guess I kind of spoke for you, and I don't want to do that. So did you like him on the wing with Nico and Palmieri? Like, did you like him having actual finishers with him? At least in Palmieri's sense, and two players that can play defense. Did you like that situation, or do you think that the Devils have to play him at center, have to get him good at center?
No, I think they have to play him at center. And everybody who I spoke to who has kind of that actual, you know, the on-ice, you know, whether it's coaching or skills development or even playing in the NHL, the people who I spoke to all said, like, they need to stop with the playing him on the wing thing. Like, I feel like it might be tempting to kind of put him into that, like, Johnny Gaudreau or Patrick Kane category and assume that because he's small and speedy and likes to carry the puck, he needs to be on the wing. But I mean, because playmaking is kind of the core of what he can do, he's going to be in a better position if he can distribute pucks from the middle. And I think that the trick is they just have to get guys who can support him once he's entered the zone with possession and finish the chances that he gets. And that's something that they have it in their power and especially within their cap space to do. They might decide that they'll just put Gusev there and let him kind of play that role. But, you know, I mean, again, we can talk about, you know, the process of building up this team. Like, Hoffman is the kind of guy you can move at the deadline too. Like, it really would kind of be like you're acquiring either 30 goals or whatever the 56 game equivalent of 30 goals is, or you're acquiring whatever he would get at the deadline too. So I think that Hughes in the middle is what you want to do. And you want to make sure that he's in a position to succeed there.
So you said you watch a lot of Hughes tape. So I'm assuming you've seen Gusev, and you brought him up a couple times. And I'm going to be honest, I haven't done a lot of analysis on him because I watch it and I see, like, it feels like three totally different games. Like one game he'll look like this kid's going to be a stud. Like this is what he was doing in Russia. He's taking over the game. He's poke checking the puck away. He's making plays for himself. And then he looks lost in another shift. And I can't tell why that's happening. So since you brought up Gusev, I'm just curious, what do you expect out of him? This is his contract year. He's making $4.5 million a year. He's well compensated. I'm curious of what are people like you, what does the hockey world out there think of this guy after 1 year in the NHL?
He definitely has upside. I think the biggest thing that struck me both from watching him and from his stats is that he really is not a good defensive player, like really not a committed defensive player. He plays a very kind of run and gun style that didn't translate super well. And his stats, I think, in that regard were pretty similar to Hughes's. So I don't know whether he's going to be looking to improve his defensive play this year, or like you said, he's in a contract year. He might just be focusing entirely on scoring. But I think, Gusev is a guy who has a lot of offensive upside and could provide that. And that's certainly something that the Devils need. The biggest issue for me with him was and this might be a thing, because I'm watching scattered game tape. And so it's kind of difficult to really come to those full conclusions, like you said, in terms of, one day he's playing great and the other day he's not playing great. But that kind of lack of consistency might be something that's contributing to his poor defensive play and his poor defensive numbers as well.
Yeah, there were issues. There was definitely issues with Gusev, but he's a fan favorite. He was kind of the guy that drove the Devils fans into a frenzy. He was the guy that quote unquote pushed us over the top last offseason. Clearly didn't work. Right. It is what it is. Beyond that, so we were going to talk about the impact that the Mackenzie Blackwood and Jesper Bratt negotiations might have on free agency. Obviously, the Devils signed Blackwood today. 2.8 annual average annual value. Just real quick, do you like that deal? 3 years, $8.4 million.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, the Devils, I think, just got win after win at the goaltending position this summer. Like I thought Crawford was the best unrestricted free agent available at the position, and they signed him. I guess with the exception of Markstrom, but they got Crawford, which I thought was a great fit and a nice signing. And then a big reason why I have the Devils projected not in last place in that division is because of that addition. And then Blackwood was great last year, and he was very solid the year before. And he's 23 this year. They have him locked up for the next 3 years at well below what you would expect for a young starting goalie. And if they can kind of moderate his minutes with Crawford there, that's even better. So I think just an unqualified W for the Devils in net at least. And let's hope that it works out that way, because you never really know with goaltending.
Yeah, he's 23 years old, so you would hope that the weirdness of the goaltending position doesn't hit him for a couple of years at least. But like you said, we've seen players just have down seasons for no reason and then bounce back, and either here or there. But I agree with you. I think that the Devils hit a home run at the goaltending position. It was so bad outside of Blackwood last year. I love Corey Schneider, but he just couldn't get it done. And then everybody else you brought in, Louis Domingue, he had one good game, and the rest of the season wasn't good. And Jill Sen played a couple of games, but he's just not NHL ready. And it was just not a good situation for the Devils. So I totally agree. I think that the goaltending position definitely pushes them a little bit higher. So you alluded to it. You don't have the Devils in last place. So evaluate what the Devils are going to be. 56-game season, a division-only schedule. What are you looking at? First we'll say, what's your analysis? What do you see from the Devils this season?
Yeah, so I really like what they did this offseason with their acquisitions. I think that there's a lot of teams who kind of went out there to spend some money and misspent it. Like the Senators would be a good example of that. But I, over the course of the summer, have consistently really liked the moves that they made. We already talked about Crawford. Like that's a big part of it. Like the I have the projections that I have the Devils goaltending tandem as the 7th best in the league, which it definitely wasn't last year. So that's a big step up there. But it's just kind of the smaller things. I mean, adding Ryan Murray, like I view Ryan Murray as one of the best defensive defensemen in the league when he's healthy. Hopefully they'll get him for most of the season, and that is just a massive addition on their top pair or their top 4 or wherever they end up putting him. I think the real issues for them just kind of come with the guys that they already had last year who weren't doing too well, and hopefully in a lot of cases they can expect some better results. Hughes is obviously one where he'd have to be really, really unlucky to have the season that he had last year again, and hopefully with either Janssen or Gusev on his wing, there will be more points coming there. The depth still isn't a great situation, but
Well, Sam, I think I need you back.
Yeah, I'm back. I think we lost him. I think his internet connection wasn't good. I think we lost him, unfortunately.
I was back.
Hold on.
Jack, we got you back. I'm sorry about that.
No problem. Where was I when I disappeared?
You were right. You just said that there's no way that Jack Hughes could be as unlucky as he was. He's got Gusev and Johnson, and that's kind of where it faded out.
Gotcha. All right. I think my ear might have hit the Wi-Fi button on my phone. All right.
No worries.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, like I said, Hughes is going to be quite a bit better. I think there are depth issues on that line.
Well, I think it happened again, Jack.
Isn't that like a typical meeting at work when the Zoom call goes out?
The Zooms. This is 2020, baby. Zooms.
Yeah.
You got them. You're on the hook. Your boss tells you something, and you're like, "Oh, am I getting a raise or am I getting fired?" And tell me how the Devils are going to be great this year.
Yeah,
No.
You know what? You're back, Jack?
I am.
Okay, no problem.
Am I back?
Okay.
All right.
Yes, you're back. We got you.
Right. So just to cut it completely short, I have them around 22nd in the league. I have them in that kind of battle with Buffalo and New York at the bottom of their division.
With Buffalo and New York. Okay. And you mean the Rangers, obviously, right?
Yes, the Rangers.
Okay. So one last question before I let you go, and I really appreciate your time and once we're done, we'll give you a chance to kind of, I know you got a Patreon. I want you to plug all of that you're working on, all the great information that you're giving people right before the season. But I do want to know what your best case scenario is. Is there, I wrote mostly, I compared it that I said if normal people can date celebrities, then the New Jersey Devils could win the Stanley Cup. And I did it obviously in jest, but I laid out the groundwork of how the impossible can happen. Lindy Ruff's system works immensely. Jack Hughes and Nico Hischier make jumps to superstardom. Blackwood and Crawford become one of the best duos in the league. What is your best case scenario? What is the best the Devils fans could possibly hope for this season?
So that would involve, like you said, Blackwood and Crawford would pretty much have to be like one of them would have to be kind of in the Vezina conversation, or they both would have to equally, do like a Bishop Hudobin thing where they're both just absolutely killing it. Ryan Murray would have to be healthy the whole season. Damon Severson or PK Subban would have to actually be like a properly top right-handed defenseman. And then, Jack Hughes and Hischier would have to be pretty much superstars. Like they would have to kind of take that massive leap that you talked about. And it would have to be enough that it could paper over what's going on in that bottom six. And I like that. Like there is a playoff team here potentially. It's just that a lot of things will have to go right for that to be the case.
Jay Fresh Hockey at Jay Fresh Hockey on Twitter. If you're not following him, go follow him now, definitely. But Jack, tell the Devils fans what they can expect from this season. what you got on the Patreon, what you got in the Substack, what kind of content you're putting out for everybody.
Yeah, so planning on being super active leading up to this new season. I got a lot of new stuff coming. I am on Patreon, so that's where you can get full access to all of the player cards and visualizations and roster builders that I post about on Twitter a lot, which is at JFreshHockey. And then I also have that Substack that you mentioned, which is essentially my blog where I post, a lot of the times I'll post those kind of deep dive player analysis pieces. So I've done them on Jack Hughes. I also did one on what I thought went wrong with Taylor Hall last season at the beginning with the Devils and what that means for what he might do in Buffalo. And then also stuff like season previews will be coming up too. So all that hopefully is worth checking out. And I tend to post those pretty regularly. So keep an eye out. That would be, I think, jfresh.substack.com.
Okay,
Great.
and we will definitely social that. So the Devils fans, just make sure you follow all of us on the socials. You'll see his stuff. Make sure we put that out there. But Jay Fresh, thank you so much for giving us some of your time. I appreciate your analysis and your expertise. And later on this season, when you write about the Devils again, we'll bring you back on. So thanks so much.
Yeah, there you go. When they're the first seed, we'll come back and talk about it. Talk about how it happened.
Thanks so much, Jack. I appreciate it.
That's Jay Fresh, a.k.a. Jack, or did I get that reversed?
I don't think it matters either way.
You know what? He's
Jay Fresh Hockey. Is what.
You know what? I should have asked him, but I didn't want to cut in because, sometimes when you get a good guest on, you're kind of nervous. But I almost wanted to ask him because it kind of sounds like a stupid question, but he was talking about Jack Hughes and playing the right wing and all that. And my memory's bad, but was he playing right wing with John Hines as coach, or was Nazardine putting him on the right wing? I thought it was early on that I thought, and then that
was
put him back
towards the end of the season.
Towards the end of the season? Okay.
Towards the end of the season. He was on the wing.
Yeah, well, the other thing, too, is, what about the line combinations, that John Hines had? I mean, it was different every
dizzying,
second.
Almost.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. He would change it in intermissions, and there was no chemistry that could have been built. And, I respect the hell out of Rachel Dory, one of the smarter hockey minds, but she loves John Hines, and that's the one thing that me and her have never agreed is that I didn't. Oh, what are you timing me out for?
I got grievances, not at you, not at Rachel, okay, because I respect her as well.
Friend of the podcast.
What is the love affair of John Hines? I'm not saying he's a bad guy, or I just don't get it.
Well, I think that's what it is. I think people like him. I think he's a likable guy. I think he's a very, very nice guy. I think that he was great in the AHL. I think that he made phenomenal decisions in that one season the Devils made the playoffs. And I think the 2 years before that he was working out the kinks. I think there's a possibility, Sam, that him and Ray Shero didn't work together, like oil and water kind of a situation. Even though he was Shero's guy, maybe Shero thought bringing in Shero's guy meant that he was bringing in a puppet. This is not something I have. I'm speculating. I don't know if that's what happened. But
speculation, right?
But he went right to a guy that's Shero's best friend. So, I feel like Nashville's thinking he's going to be a similar kind of guy. Yep. And maybe he can overcome that. Maybe, I think that his X's and O's need work based on what he did last season. He could not fix this. He could not get them out of that hole. All he had were changes for change's sake. He never let anything sit. He tried to it seemed like he always made the wrong decision when it came to when he should sit a guy and when he should play a guy. Like, when should you make a guy play through those hiccups, and when should you sit a guy and make him watch and send that message? It always seemed like either came too late or it came when it shouldn't have come at all. I didn't like John Hines last year coaching. I didn't really like him 4 years ago, and I thought that they were going to fire him then when they ended up getting Nico Hischier. They kept him. It was the right move. They made the playoffs next year. They had a nice run. I think that series against the Lightning would have been more competitive at the end if Nikita Kucherov didn't give Sami Vatanen a concussion. But I guess we shouldn't speak ill of the injured. Injured? Sure, I guess he has a hip injury. It's just convenient that his $9 million cap hit is going to get lost until the playoffs. It's just very, very sad, Sam. Sorry, I'm being very mean. I apologize.
Why are you apologizing? It's Happy Devils Festivus.
It's
You're
true.
supposed
No,
to
these are
air
grievances.
out your grievances. I got
This
some
is
grievances.
This is horse manure, Sam. The fact that the Lightning got out of this salary cap situation by sure, it's their best player. Cool, whatever. The Lightning have 100 best players. Seriously, how many players in the Lightning have 4 players that would be the best player in the Devils? You know, like if you look at Stamkos, Point, Kucherov, and Vasilevsky, 4 players. They would be the best player in the Devils. You can add Sergachev. You can add Hedman. They don't need Kucherov in the regular season, and especially since they got away from the division with Boston. I'm mad. That's stupid. That's the thing I'm mad about today, Sam. I'm mad about that. And I hope that if he's hurt, I think he's hurt. I think he does have something. I think it's one of those things where, you know, and I've only really heard this in football. I think maybe this was in hockey. No, baseball. I don't know. Whatever. I've heard in other sports where star players have said, I want this, this, and this. And they're like, we're not going to give you this, this, and this. And they're like, okay, well, my ankle hurts, so I'm going to go get surgery. Yeah, you need the surgery. They're not going to do an unnecessary surgery on an athlete, but right before the season, seems like a weird time to deal with that injury, right? Seems like a weird time.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Nick. I'm getting distracted. Have you seen the new virtual studio, Amanda Stein and Chris Westcott?
Move it down. Oh, wow. Look at how pretty.
Yeah. I think we need to increase the budget for our virtual studio. They've just upped their game.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
I mean, I don't know, Sam. You're the budget guy.
Yeah. No, I'd rather just stick to our low budget for now.
We're looking good. Oh, by the way,
Yeah.
This is my ugly Christmas sweater, right?
Mm-hmm.
Look, it's old school Devils jersey. It's red and green. It's not
That's
that
pretty
ugly
cool.
until I turn around and you see.
Grievances. Don't
Is
ever
this
do
not-
that.
Is this not the ugliest Christmas sweater you've ever seen in your entire life?
It is so ugly that. Anyway, I have a grievance. I actually have a grievance, and I want you to help me out here. And I'm probably going to get in trouble. So if you don't want to get involved with my grievance and walk away, just be corporate. Just walk away, saying that Sam, that's unacceptable, and walk away. I don't know why it rubbed me the wrong way, but the Devils tweeted something. There was some stuff out in social media. Do you know what really bothered me?
What's that?
This is silly. I don't have a problem with the subject matter. They tweeted out about being the first NHL team to have a sponsor logo on the helmet, which, you know, I understand Prudential. Having that partnership is amazing because it's Newark. They sponsor, they have the naming rights to the building, also known as The Rock, right?
Mm-hmm.
They have The Rock on the head. It looks good. It's very well done, all taste. The only thing that just really kind of, and this is kind of the grievances, and Scotty and I kind of battled on it in a group text. Scotty from SiriusXM Liquid Metal Sunday podcast. I'll tell you what bothered me about it. It's kind of like, to me, that kind of stuff is a little touchy subject when you start messing with the uniform and all that. But just to brag that you're the first in the NHL to put a logo on the helmet, it's almost like the C-level executives and Harris Blitzer Sports Entertainment were just high-fiving each other and tweeted it out. Like, I don't think fans really care about that. It would have been cool if they tweeted out, look how awesome these helmet looks, our partners with Prudential Center. That would have been cool because it did look cool. They had the white outline. It's a nice logo. It fit. It wasn't too brandish.
The logo's nice.
The logo's
nice.
Perfect. I don't have any problems on putting logos on helmets. Now, it's debatable about jerseys, but I just like, who cares if you're the first in the NHL to do it? It's almost like we're the first in the NHL to make money. I don't know.
I mean, I would brag about that.
What's that?
I would brag about being the first to make money.
Yeah, but on Twitter? I don't know.
Yeah, I understand.
Again, I don't know if I'm right or wrong, but I don't have a problem with the logo. I don't have a problem with Prudential. I don't have a problem with... I don't even have problems that they put logos on the jersey, to be honest with you. As long as it's tastefully done.
Yeah, I understand.
That's all.
I can't rag on the Twitter account this week because they've been just doing a stellar job at everything else. They jumped all over Juju Smith-Schuster on Monday Night Football, and that went viral. They made a bomb video, and bomb in a good way. When they signed Mackenzie Blackwood, they had a lot of really good content today tied to Blackwood. A lot of good graphics with the schedule release, and you talked about the virtual studio that Chris is in and Amanda's in, and it's just content after content after content after content after content, I feel for them because they've had nothing to talk about. They had the draft. And they had the Blackwood, or I'm sorry, the Crawford, Murray, and Johnson frenzy that happened within like 4 days. But besides that, I mean, what they have to talk about, and these are full-time employees, and then they did a great job of just staying relevant. That's what your job is when you run a Twitter account. It's staying relevant and ignoring comments, because my goodness, some of the comments on those things. Gosh, they need to, and they did a really funny job of using those comments against people by re-airing the comments. Be like, shine Blackwood, shine Brad. Why aren't you shining Blackwood and Brad? Like, guys, why are you bothering the people who run the Twitter accounts? Come on. But anyway, I think they've done a stellar job. I would love to get one of them on the podcast. I have to imagine that's multiple people running that account. Yeah, I would love to get just to kind of see what. I know the guy who runs the LA Kings Twitter account. I listened to an interview. I don't know if it's the same guy, but I remember this has got to be going back 5 years, Sam. But I remember. Oh, what's going on? This is where I got to move.
No. I'm playing with our little virtual. I've never really played with the virtual set. I was just playing. Is that pretty cool or what? You're behind bars. Nick.
What did I do? Am I in Twitter jail again?
Yeah, you're in Twitter jail. I don't want to talk to you.
I've made it a point to not go overboard on Twitter. I've been a very good Twitter user on the Pitchfork Puck account. We've grown since during the quarantine because I haven't been mean to anybody and I haven't yelled at any fans for their asinine opinions. And they haven't yelled at me for any of my asinine opinions. So it's a very harmonious situation. And I'm very happy to be a part of it. But no Twitter jail for me, Sam. I do want to talk about this Blackwood deal, though, Sam. 3 years, $8.4 million total value.
Woo!
About $2.8 million per year. It signs him, a very good deal. It's a very good deal. And I mean, the average annual value was about $700,000 less than I thought he was going to get. I thought he was going to get around 3.5. I thought he deserved 3.5. He got 2.8. That's probably a pandemic contract, and it's unfortunate for him, but I think the Devils will pay for it in his next contract because I think he's still going to be really good. I think they're going to have to give him somewhere in the 6 range in the next one, but I think that's going to be a longer-term deal. And we'll see. We'll see. I'm curious. You know what I'm curious about, Sam? I'm curious of how the expansion draft is going to go. Because if they take Crawford, that's going to hurt. The Devils don't really have, Nico Dawes is not going to be ready. Jill Sen, I know some people are very high on him. I think he's fine. 24 years old. He's getting up there in age. He really needs to show me something in the AHL last year. He was good last year. He was good. But to be a trusted backup, somebody who, like, the Devils just don't have anybody they can trust right now. To be a trusted backup, he has to really show me something this year. Like Tristan Jarry in the AHL numbers, something like that. But maybe they won't take him. There's going to be some good goalies available, I think. I'm just worried about the 1A, 1B situation. Crawford is just perfect for. And Seattle's going to be looking for that. Although, it was weird. Remember when Vegas did this? And we thought Vegas was going to come out with 3 starting goalies. Where they're going to come out with Marc-Andre Fleury, Mike Smith, and Devin Dubnyk or something. I don't remember the exact thought process, but, they ended up with they got Fleury, but then they took Malcolm Subban, PK's brother, and then another guy who was kind of fine. They didn't end up with great goalies. It was weird. So I'm wondering if Seattle goes with the similar situation because obviously the Vegas thought process worked. Look where they are. One of the best teams in the league every single year without fail. So I'm curious to see how I know a lot of people are looking at that Miles Wood contract. They're thinking Miles Wood might be the guy. I mean, we hit the nail on the head with the Devils when it happened. We pretty much knew it was either going to be Mike Camilleri or it was going to be John Merrill. It just depended on what they were going to be looking for. Are they looking to get up to the salary cap floor, get veteran players to fill around a young roster, or are they going to look for, diamonds in the rough? And that's what they got. So I'm curious of who they think the diamonds in the rough might be for the Devils. Wood is a guy that might be, with his speed, his skills, what he brings to the table. I bet you a team comes in and thinks that they can fix his issues, because his issues have a lot to do with penalties and decision making, and those are things that coaches think they can fix. But anyway, this is a large rabbit hole that I just wanted to just say that I love the Blackwood deal. Having him for 3 years is perfect. It's the perfect deal.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
Well, I'm becoming a fan favorite. I mean, I love Mack Black. Big goaltender. Tall, a little bit lanky. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Sean Burke when he first came into the league. Positive attitude. I mean, you remember the grit and toughness Mack Black displayed when he got his teeth knocked out. Played the next game, they're
still not in, by the way. He has fake ones, but he has not got permanent replacements.
Yeah, got unlucky, and then once he got back in the groove, if it wasn't for that leap year in 2020, I mean, he basically went undefeated. In February, the month of February. So with that, there's nothing but positive things about Mack Black, and having Corey Crawford there helps him along. You don't want to burn out your budding goaltender, at a young age. It's good that they share the burden, I think, but eventually, I think it's going to be, Mackenzie Blackwood's team eventually, but he's got to prove himself. He's got to show up every night. Corey Crawford's going to get some chances. He's going to get playing time. It's if you're an elite goaltender, Mack Black, you got to unseat Corey Crawford, and that's not easy to do. So I like the competition. I like Corey Crawford, and he's on the tail end of his career, but still has some good play left out of him. So I think right now, the Devils from the goaltending position is looking solid. They also signed Scott Wedgwood. Am I correct? They signed Scott Wedgwood. Again,
I think he's perfect to go on this taxi squad. I think he's perfect for this taxi squad.
Exactly, and he just came off winning a Stanley Cup with the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, but you know what?
he got to skate around. Good for him.
Winning is winning. All right, it's winning. I love winning. So I'd like to win over David Leibowitz and get him on the phone very soon to play the game, because you were kind of teasing me. Well, you were kind of teasing me before the podcast about.
This is going to be. This is one of my favorite games, Sam, that I've ever made in my entire life. I am so excited for this game. But I think we're pushing him back to 9:40. I had to change the time a little bit. I was talking to two different people about it, and times got mixed up. But so we're going to push it back to 9:40. No big deal.
Oh,
an extra 10 minutes.
Okay.
But sorry, I lost my train of thought for a sec. I'm very, very excited for this season. I'm a little worried. There's rumors that the Jesper Bratt situation could cause him to miss the start of training camp just because of, I guess he's still overseas. So bringing him back here, quarantine, the whole situation. I guess Pierre LeBrun spoke about that on his podcast today. So that's not the best situation. I'm curious of how you let it get this far, and I know Devils fans feel the same way. I know contract negotiations are weird, but if it means he's going to miss part of a shortened training camp, I figured you would just get it done, right? You'd be on the phone with him all the time. How do we fill this gap? You're going to eventually fill the gap, right?
Yeah.
Is Jesper Bratt going to be the guy to sit out? I know Miles Wood did it. But what are they I wonder what they're offering him. If that's what Blackwood accepted, what are they offering Bratt? I'm thinking they're offering Bratt maybe a Pavel Zacha deal, 2.25, and I think he's scoffing at that, thinking he's worth 3.5. I think they'll find a middleman at 3, but I think both sides are trying to get as much as they can out of it. You know what I'm saying? And that's what a negotiation is. These things drag out. When you and me, even in our lines of work, we have negotiations all the time, but it's usually within that conversation. It's very rare that if we want a deal or if that other person wants a deal, we walk away without a deal. Unless we're negotiating with other parties. But in this situation, Jesper Bratt and the Devils only have each other to negotiate with. So it's very rare in a day-to-day situation that if I'm negotiating with you, I want to do it this time, you want to do it that time. We figured out in that conversation, but these contract negotiations obviously deal with a lot more complicated language, a lot more complicated situations. But it's just weird that it still took this long. We had 10 months of nothing. So
it's always a battle. It's in negotiations, it's once you get towards the end there, it's all about jockeying for leverage. And when time is running out, that's what happens, unfortunately.
I tell you this, the Devils cannot afford to not have Jesper Bratt in this lineup. They have 3 forward spots to fill in the starting lineup. And I think Jesper Boquist is going to take one of those spots, but that's not a guarantee. We saw that last year. The hope is that maybe McLeod and Kuokkanen or Foote or Merkley takes those other 2 spots. I guess there's some outside chance that maybe Bastion or maybe Maltsev or maybe Zetterland or Studenic, one of those took a step in this. Oh, well, I'm forgetting Sharon Govich. Sharon Govich is another person that a lot of people like in this lineup. There's the hope that one of them could take those spots, but I mean, of those names, like none of those are you're confident can be a 15-goal scorer. You have hopes for all of them, but I don't think that any of them can be there's a spot in the top 6, Sam. That's why I wanted to bring Jay Fresh on, because the free agency, when he tied the Devils to Hoffman, and Michael Granlund was the other guy. I guess we never even mentioned it. Michael Granlund was the other guy he tied us to, which I liked a little bit better, but he's off the board. So Hoffman's the guy. Hoffman's the best guy. The Devils have the most money to offer him. I would love it if they sign Hoffman. You can move Bratt down to maybe you do Bratt, Zaka, Zajac on that third line. I think that would be a really good third line. Or if you want to, maybe you're a little worried about defense, you put Bratt on Hughes' wing, and then you put Gusev, Zaka, Zajac as a third line. That'd be fun too. But there's a lot you can do with this lineup, but taking Bratt out of it really hurts, because then you have 4 spots open. And Sam, when have you ever heard of an NHL team going into training camp with 4 spots that haven't been decided yet that succeeded? The only one I could think of is that I pay attention to the Devils, but that 2017-18 Devils team, you went into training camp with a PTO Drew Stafford, Brian Gibbons on kind of a 2-way contract, I believe. You had Blake Coleman, who wasn't expected to make the team, and he made the team. There's one other player that's escaping me. But anyway, everything worked out. Stafford played really Drew Stafford played really well to start the season. Brian Gibbons played out of his mind to start the season. So those things worked out. I don't know if they're going to work out. Is there anybody else that you see out there, Sam, that you think would be good for this team? Is there anybody else available?
I don't know. I gotta.
Yeah, I mean, you'd probably be better with the list in front of you. I like Athanasiou on the guy from the Red Wings, or he used to be on the Red Wings. He used to be on the what is going on the Oilers. He was really good. I really like. There's a couple other people that I think would Sidor Coco, whatever, however you say his name. Defenseman for the Blackhawks. He'd be a really nice guy to just kind of sign and just kind of leave somewhere. What the hell is going on? Sorry, my computer's like messing up over here, and I'm like trying to talk to David, but it's a very strange situation over here. I don't even know how to explain it. Anyway.
Are you talking about your computer feed, or are you talking about your own personal computer?
My personal computer. It's where I have all the Twitter conversations up. Yeah, no, my computer feed looks good. It's just very.
That David. You know what? I think he's trying to play mind games with you to try to get an edge. Yeah,
maybe
trying to get an edge.
There's not really an edge in this game. It's more of a. So Sam, have you ever played Mad Libs?
I'm a boring person.
You've never played Mad Libs as a kid?
Nope.
Okay, so for those who've never played Mad Libs, it was a book that you got. Your friends would ask you, give me a noun, give me an adjective, give me a verb, and you give them to them, and they'd say the sentence, but like plug in all the words you said with no context. So tonight we're playing Devil's Mad Libs, Christmas edition.
Whoa!
So we're getting festive, we're getting Devils, and we're getting a little fun. This game, I told you, this game, I'm more excited about this game than I have been about any game for a while. But But yeah, I mean, Dave should be on any minute. Hopefully, he's getting ready for the game.
Is he waiting? Is he waiting for me to call him right now?
Give him like 3 more minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, he said he could do it in 3 minutes. So no, I'm very excited about this game. But before we get to the game, what are your thoughts on Brat? Like what? I mean, I guess if the Devils aren't supposed to make the playoffs, it's supposed to be another rebuilding year.
You know what?
I'm going to tell you what,
with
Sam.
this whole COVID situation changes the dynamics. Because what do you have to lose? You know, if I don't know where Jesper Bratt's thinking is on it, but if it were up to me and I'm in a contract dispute and I'm trying to gain leverage, I'd be like, I'm not going back.
Yeah.
Unless you pay me well. Otherwise, I'd rather sit home and be safe.
Yeah,
I mean that's how I would be. I mean it's kind of if you were expecting a number, and remember that the Players Association and the NHL were going at it. Just ruffled the feathers a little bit. And you just see that just go down, prorated, down, high risk, and there's no bubble here, so it's kind of like, I'd be like, what do I have to lose for asking 3.5?
Yeah.
So what if I sit out the season? I'll take a little break and then come back.
I'm also curious.
I mean, it is a lot of money, but still.
I gotta look the opt out and if there's any clauses there because say they allow opt outs, right? They do. They allow opt outs, so you don't have to say it. They do allow opt outs. I wonder if there's a clause in there that you can come back after you get vaccinated. I mean, people are getting vaccinated right now, Sam. Like it's here. Like we're at the point where vaccinations are being distributed. 1 million vaccinations went to Americans this week. So, and they should go to older people, and they should go to the frontline workers. And hard stop. They shouldn't go to politicians. They shouldn't go to hockey players. They shouldn't go to basketball players. They shouldn't go to you or me. They should go to people at the highest risk group, and then go from highest risk down. Frontline workers and the most elderly population, then go to people with diseases or compromised immune systems. And then go on from there. But my point is, say hockey players are up in March and they can get the vaccine. Are you allowing those players to come back? Because if you do, then Jesper Bratt has a larger negotiating window. He can say, I'll wait till the vaccine comes out. I'll opt out till then, and then we can work on my contract then. And then the Devils might be okay with that because they could say, if we're competitive, we'd like to have you back. We'll get you that vaccine and we'll get you back on the ice. But if they're not, they might be willing to let them sit out or, whatever he decides to do. I don't know how this situation would work. I'm very curious about the opt-outs because basketball and football did it very differently. Football was like, if you opt out, you're done. Go home. Just forget football for a season. Basketball said, you can opt out. You can come back. You just have to quarantine. You have to stay safe. You have to make sure that you're okay. But, we can be flexible with these opt-outs. I believe baseball did the same thing. I'd have to remember. I think hockey was just out, right? You're out. If you're out, you're out. I think that's how it worked out. So like I said, I didn't look into the opt-out clause before I came on the podcast. There's just so much new that came in this negotiation. You had to. It's all coming at us all at once. So I think that this situation with Brad is crucial to the Devils. They really can't going in this season. Going in with 3 is a lot. 3 open forward positions for players the most NHL ready is Jesper Boquist, and I think he'll be fine. I think he'll be actually pretty good this year. But then just haven't like Nolan Foote hasn't played a game since like January. It's going to be like a full calendar year between him playing NHL or I guess maybe AHL games, whatever. I don't think there's any way that I think he's going to look good in practice, but I don't think there's any way that they're going to put him on the opening night roster. I think they're going to send him down to Binghamton, and then you still have, I say there's 3 open forward positions. That's not including the extras. They're going to at least have 1 extra on the 23-man roster, and then you have the taxi squad that throws a wrench into everything. There's a lot of open positions. If you're the Devils, you can't afford to open another one. You got to get this deal done, and you want to get it done sooner rather than later. And it's just I don't know what's holding things up. Oh, Sam, you got David?
Yeah, sorry, we're just having technical difficulties. It's once you integrate Zoom into this whole thing, it just complicates things. But I think I got David. Now I just gotta find that button. David, you're it's not working. The mix minus isn't working. That's not good. Yeah, hold on, David. I can hear him on my other end. Nope. No more Zoom calls. I'm banning Zoom on this freaking podcast because it's like I'm looking through 15,000 things now, and I don't want to leave you hanging.
You can leave me hanging. It's okay. I talk to myself. It's fine. I like me. I'm a pretty cool guy. So I'll talk to myself.
Okay.
You go figure it out. I'll talk to myself. I wish you could talk to Facebook Live. I got to fix my Facebook. I dislike Facebook. I know I'm not supposed to say that, but gosh, it makes me angry. Guys, and the other thing we didn't talk about tonight, and we talked about it for like weeks. We had so much news today. World Juniors started. They were exhibition games. Dawson Mercer looks like he's about to get a much bigger role. He started on the 4th line with Kirby Doc. He started on the 4th line with Quentin Byfield, but Kirby Doc got injured, and I think Mercer was the guy who took his place. I don't think he'll take that spot. I think he was just the easiest guy to integrate into that position at the time, but I think he's going to get a bigger role with Team Canada. Sam, you're back again.
Yeah, let's try it once more. If it doesn't work, we're going to have to, unfortunately, postpone this. Please welcome Dave. Nope, it's not working.
Hello?
Does it work for me? Do I? Oh, yeah, I echo too.
That might just be me.
Well, I don't hear Sam. So, Sam, are you muting yourself?
No, I don't know what this is. All right.
I don't even understand what's happening.
You know what? I think the mix minus is all messed up because we added that Zoom call when we really didn't need to, when there was no video. So.
Okay.
We can't do it unless Dave is willing. Unless he wants to go on Zoom, but I have Zoom off right now.
So can he go on Zoom? I don't know. What's that?
I turned it off after Jack. So
if you turned it off, why is it doing the mix minus? I don't understand.
This whole setup is so complex because I've got wires going all over the place. It was working right before the podcast. Something messed up. Something messed up along the way, so I'm trying to figure that part out. Dave, nope, it's not. I hear myself. I don't know why.
Hey, let me try something real quick. This is going to be janky, but I'm going to see if this works.
Speakerphone?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, why not? It's hack. I'll hang up on Dave.
Hold on, I gotta pull up Dave's number because I sent it to you. See, this is what happens. This is what happens when you're
live. When you're live.
When you're the most commented New Jersey Devils podcast out there, you want to give the people what they want, and they want this game. I've been hyping it up, so let me call Dave. All right, so we're calling Dave. Can you hear that?
Yeah, kinda.
Hello.
How was that? Did you hear Dave?
I hear Dave. Dave, can you hear me?
Hello.
He can't hear me. He can't hear me because
He can't hear you, but he doesn't need to hear you.
Okay, that's fine.
He doesn't need to hear Sam. So David, there will be some awkward silences, but let's welcome David Leibowitz of Pucks and Pitchforks.
Hello, half of you.
Yeah. Hello, David. Hello. Sam, the good news here is I'm going to explain the game. And the game's not really like a game where like you're going against each other. This is one of those games where you have to impress me. So, David, you'll still get to hear Sam's answers because, David, let me ask you, have you ever played Mad Libs?
Of course I have.
Okay, well, Sam's never played Mad Libs, so
Really?
yeah, it was interesting explaining to Sam what Mad Libs are. So, I've taken some of the most famous Christmas carols in existence, and I've turned them into Mad Libs. But obviously, this is a Devils podcast, so there will be a little bit of a devil flavor. Each Mad Lib, you will have to name at least one Devils player. So, we're going to get right into it. I'm not going to tell you the song until after. Well, I guess that's how Mad Libs works. I just ask you for a certain set of words. You give me those words, and then we'll integrate it into the Christmas Carol, and we will sing ourselves a little song. So, Sam, are you ready?
I'm ready.
David, are you ready?
Yep.
All right. So, David, we're going to start with you. So, I need a verb, a noun, an action verb, and then a Devils player. So, just again, you need a verb, a noun, an action verb, which is like an ing verb, and then a New Jersey Devils player. It could be past or present.
Okay, so verb is going to be run. Let's keep it simple to start.
Okay.
Noun. Let's keep it hockey themed and say Zamboni.
Okay.
Action verb. Firing. A little bit of a doc there.
Okay.
And a New Jersey Devils player. Let's get weird and say Martin Havlat.
Martin Havlat. Sure. That one's gonna work so terribly for me, but that's okay. That's okay. All right. All right. Sam, are you ready to hear this jingle?
Sure.
Okay. So, running through the snow, in a one-horse open Zamboni, o'er the fields we go, firing all the way, Martin Havlat. So
It's actually not bad.
Done.
yeah, this is one of my better ideas, and it's a terrible idea, and I love it. This is amazing. I love every second of what's going on right now. This is great. All right. So you guys get the gist of the game, and at the end, I'll pick a winner based on who made me laugh the most, and that might be me, but we'll see. We'll see. All right. So Sam, what I need from you is I need a noun, an animal, another noun, and then a Devils player name.
Okay. A noun. Avocado.
Okay. Avocado is your first noun.
Yep. Pig is my animal.
His animal's a pig.
Then you need another noun, right?
Yep, I need a second noun.
Beer.
Beer. And then a player.
Lemieux, as in Claude Lemieux.
Yeah, don't get that Mario in here. All right, Claude Lemieux is your player. Okay, so here's your Christmas carol, Sam.
Yep.
'Twas the night before Christmas, when all through the avocado, not a creature was stirring, not even a pig. The beers were hung by the chimney with care, in hopes that Claude Lemieux soon would be there.
Hey, it sounded great, but it wasn't funny, so I think I lost points on that one.
I don't know. I don't hate it. I'm not gonna lie to you.
I'm calling the cops.
All right. So David, it's your turn.
Okay.
So I need a player name, an animal, and a holiday.
Okay. Since a player, again, we're doing past, present.
Yeah, these are all be past and present. Just all as long as they're devils.
Okay, so let's say Brian Rafalski.
Okay.
And the animal will be an aardvark.
Okay.
And since I'm the Jewish guy doing this, let's say Passover for the holiday.
Okay. All right. Are we ready for the carol?
No, but go ahead.
Brian Rafalski got run over by an aardvark walking home from our house on Passover. You could say there's no such thing as Santa, which makes no sense right now. But as for me and Rafalski, we believe. It must be weird in my head. Like, living there must be strange.
Is your wife on Twitter? I just want to talk to her.
She's fine. She's fine.
Dave,
Okay.
you're running away with it. You're running away with this. Not only are you funny with this whole Mad Lib thing, you're actually funny just outside of it. You're just funny today.
All right, Sam. What I need from you is I need a food. I need a player name. I need a group of people. And then I need a second player name.
All right. Anchovies? Is that a food?
I believe anchovies are a food.
And then you need a player name, right?
Yes.
Bob Corkum. He used to play on the Devils.
Cool.
And then what else do you need?
I need like a group of people, like something that would like. It could be fans. It could be, it could be sailors. It could be repairmen. It's just anything that's people, multiple people. It doesn't have to.
Janitors.
Cool. And then you need a second player name.
Reed Simpson.
Can you pick somebody who people know?
Taylor Hall.
Okay.
It better not be Deck the Halls.
No, no. But that one's not on here actually. But all right. The worst part is I'm singing them. That's just terrible. I'm sorry,
I know.
audience.
And we're recording all this, and it'll
This
be
is bad.
and we're dropping it into our podcast pages.
I'm never getting a job again. All right. Anchovies roasting on an open fire. Bob Corkum nipping at your nose. Yuletide carols being sung by janitors and folks dressed up like Taylor Hall.
That was good, actually. That was actually
right.
pretty good.
I guess it's not bad. But David, you're going to hate this next one, and I'm excited about it. So this is what I need from you.
Okay.
You need a player name. You need an item. And then you need a second player name.
Player name, item, second player name.
Yes.
Okay, so player name. The first player will be Brendan Shanahan.
Okay.
The item will be an ice pick because I just shoved one into my ear after listening to that.
Listen.
Listen, this is a hell of your own making. Okay, and the second player name will be Sean Burke. Keep it in 1987-88 Devils.
Might as well. All right. Are you ready for this, Sam? This one's going to be bad.
Okay.
I can't hit these notes. All right. Last Christmas, Brendan Shanahan gave you his ice pick, but the very next day, you gave it away. This year, to save Brendan from tears, I'll give it to Sean Burke.
Had I known it was a syllable thing, I would have flipped the two players, but
Yeah.
too late now.
You know what? I probably should have just did that myself, but...
Yeah.
All right. Sam, that last one didn't go so well for David, so you got a chance to steal. Can you take the win here?
Please take the win. I'm asking you to take the win.
So this is what I need from you, Sam.
What's that?
I need one verb. I need two verbs. I need three verbs from you, and then I need a New Jersey Devils player.
Okay. Cooking. Driving. One more verb, right?
Yeah.
Slew footing.
Okay.
And you need one more player?
I just need a player, yeah.
Bruce Driver.
Bruce Driver. You did Drive and Bruce Driver in the same Mad Libs. That's fine.
You know what? I'm trying to win this. I'm going for the gold right now.
In the tune of the one and only Bruce Springsteen, the pride of New Jersey. Oh, you better not cook. You better not drive. You better not slew foot. I'm telling you why. Bruce Driver is coming to town. Bruce Driver is coming to town. Bruce Driver is coming to town.
That's actually pretty good.
Listen. I told you this was my favorite game ever. And honestly, it went about as well as most of our other games have ever gone. Besides having, I wish we had Arlette here to sing them for us, because that would have been beautiful. That would have made it pretty good. But my stupid voice had to sing them for you. So I apologize for that part, audience. But I don't know, Sam. I think David really hit the nail on the head with those first two, and he got us both laughing. When you get the opponent laughing, I think I got to give it to David. David, how do you feel about your win?
I've never felt worse about a win in my entire life.
Listen.
I can't even brag. I know this is the part where like Sam and I were brag, but like I'm just sad right now, man.
I don't know. That was kind of fun. I had fun. Sam, did you have fun?
Oh, I had fun. I always have fun when Dave is on.
Sam had fun. David, you're the only one who didn't have fun. So I'm sorry that we didn't make your Christmas a fun experience.
Trust me, I used to work in a movie theater. Anything is more fun than that this time of year.
It's true. I mean, can I just ask you this? Was it better than the 600 Lifetime movies that you've watched this month?
Some movies yes, some movies no.
Okay, we got a threshold then.
Including one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life, and one that's hockey themed. So,
oof, a hockey-themed Hallmark Christmas movie sounds like the best, worst idea I've ever heard in my life.
it is the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. It is called Christmas Coupon. If any of you are crazy to look it up, it's on Amazon. And there's this scene where they try to show another hockey team. They try to claim it's a team called the Flames, but it's very clearly shot in Detroit at the Red Wings, and they just wash the Red Wings logo off the ice.
I mean, if you're gonna pick another NHL team, like at least go for like, I don't know, like the Lobsters or something. Like, don't go for another NHL team.
They also try to zoom in and show one of the players getting body checked, and it's so clearly in a different rink with someone wearing a different jersey.
Oh, no. Oh, that's bad. Oh, Lifetime. Never change. Or Amazon, I guess. Whatever. They're all Lifetime movies.
Yeah.
But, David, you got a couple articles coming out. Why don't you plug what's coming up next for you?
All right. Well, first quick note with what Nick was referring to is I'm doing this thing called Jingle Hell, where the whole month of December I've been reviewing awful cookie-cutter Christmas movies. You can find that on my Twitter page or my letterbox, both at Leboism. But as for Devils, I'm putting the finishing touches on the Weird Devils history article about the WHA team Jersey Knights, one of the first pro-level teams in New Jersey that played in the worst arena in the league in Cherry Hill. It makes where the Islanders play looks like a dream compared to this place. And after that, I'm going to be doing another Weird Devils history on Don Cherry's tenure as Rockies coach.
Ooh, interesting. That sounds like fun. I'm looking forward to the Don Cherry one. I've been looking for the Jersey Knights one for a little bit, so
Yep.
That one's coming down the pike. Looking forward to both of them. But David, thank you for coming on the journey inside of my brain. I'm sorry that it got a little bumpy there, but we'll have you on again, and you will accept because you like this torture.
I apparently do. Goodbye, everybody. Merry Christmas to our celebrating viewers and all that fun stuff.
All right. Thanks, David.
Thank you.
That's David Leibowitz celebrating his victory, rubbing it in my face. But that's okay. I like the guy. He's so likable.
Sam, you didn't want to miss out on that game. I mean, that was straight from the mind of Nick Villano. That's a Nick Villano special.
That was actually probably one of the best games, and that's when I couldn't even get the phones to work. That sucks.
But yeah, I mean, listen, it probably wasn't the best quality, but it was something. Could you hear him? Could you hear him fine?
Yeah, I could hear him fine. So,
any complaints on Facebook?
What's that?
Any complaints on Facebook?
Yeah. No. You know what? No. People were laughing. There were a lot of laughs. You gotta figure out your password situation on Facebook.
I do. I've been dreading the forget my password because I told them last week my email that's tied to Facebook is Ocean County College. I haven't been there in 10 years. So it's been like 8, but anyway. All right, Sam. It's bedtime for me.
Okay.
We got coming up on Pucks and Pitchforks this week. We got I'm going to do 5 takeaways from the schedule tomorrow morning. That'll be a nice little quick one. I told you, I gave the 5. You weren't here. I think you were either getting Dave or Jack. I forget which one. But I did 5. Oh, I think you were getting Jack. I did 5 ways the Devils could win the Stanley Cup this year. It's possible,
Wow.
Sam.
Anything's possible in 2021. It's going to be a great year.
That's on Pucks and Pitchforks right now. You could read that one. Vinny went over a couple of the free agents that he still would like to sign. A couple reactions to the Mackenzie Blackwood contract. And then I know I promised you a World Juniors preview, but a bunch of stuff came up, and we had to write about that instead. So I will still get that for you. That'll probably come out Friday morning right before the games start. Or, I'm sorry, Friday morning is Christmas. So it'll come out Friday morning. Games start on Saturday. So that'll be a little bit of fun for everybody out there. If you want to do that Christmas morning, that'll be out there. But yeah, so we got a lot of fun stuff, and then there's a bunch of stuff coming over the next couple of days, just on the season. Just a bunch of preseason content, predicting lines, predicting who's going to make the team, predicting how they'll do, bold predictions for the season, bold predictions for the lineup. We got a lot coming out, Sam.
That's great. Well, if I don't, maybe I should just say Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa. We'll see you next time. Yeah, maybe that's what we should say. Till next time, be safe, everyone. Let's go, Devils.
There'll be parties for hosting, marshmallows for toasting, and caroling out in the snow. There'll be scary ghost stories and tales of the glories of Christmases long, long ago. Long ago. It's the most wonderful time of the year. There'll be much mistletoeing and hearts will be glowing when loved ones are near. It's the most wonderful time. It's the most wonderful